Some really big buffs coming to Brewmaster in not necessarily soon, but over the course of presumably the next few weeks. And we talked about this on stream, but since we're making a video on all of this now, we might as well take a look at it again. Brewmaster, new ability, Spirit of the Ox. Your Rising Sun Kick and Blackout Kick have a chance to summon a healing sphere. So I don't really know how Brewmaster's playing right now, but I know they do a lot of healing. And if anybody does know, please tell me where the source of that healing is coming. But I was told that it's coming from basically eating a lot of healing spheres with Expel Harm or whatever that spell is called. And if that's true, then this is a massive buff to that, it seems like. But anyway, Stagger is no longer a talent. Quick Sip now purifies 5% of your damage delayed by Stagger was 2%. Assume these are all talents. Gift of the Ox is now a 1-rank talent. But basically, all of those spells there are now 1-rank talents, which is huge. That's 4 free talent points they just got. That's insane. Like, what the hell? That seems really, really, really big. Like, they just got 4 free talent points. I don't know how many people are taking all 4 of those things. I don't know anything about it, but that's pretty crazy. Now, that's coming with 10.0.5, which we still don't have a release date on. Probably not anytime soon. But we also have this, okay, class tuning as well. If I clicked on the article, we'd have this. And this is pretty crazy because there's more than just Brewmaster, but let's go right to Monk because we do want to talk about that. Efficacy of Stagger increased against magic to 45%. It's the right direction there. And then cooldown of Celestial Brew reduced to 45 seconds. Okay, now that's interesting. Very interesting. Those two things alone, they don't sound very strong to me on paper. But when all of these things put together, it's like, wow, Brew's pretty strong. And you know what, dude? I think they're even stronger than people might make them sound now. Like, if you guys haven't seen this, Brew is actually not even the last tank anymore. Now it's Druid. So it's kind of strange. I don't really know what's going on with this game's meta, quote unquote. I frankly don't really care. But it is interesting to me that Brewmaster went from this tank that was pretty much constantly talked about as being like unplayable. I mean, I've even contributed to it. I heard a lot of people say this, so I just assumed that they were right. I played it a little bit in the pre-patch and stuff, and I frankly didn't like it at all. A lot of people were saying it was horrible. It was getting slammed. It was not really being a tank. It was more like a DPS. Well, so now what? They just got 4 free talent points, a bunch of crazy passive buffs, and apparently they're still like DPS instead of a tank. Best tank? I mean, where are we going? What's the direction we're heading here with this class? I don't really know, and it's kind of interesting. But I want to read the rest of these because this is quite interesting to me. These are big changes considering we are now 4 weeks in, and it says we'll receive in throughput increases to several spells targeted at improving the performance and raid and Mythic Plus. It is our intent that these changes help make these specializations viable options for raid and dungeon content. So they changed the hunt again. Over time, no longer deals an additional tick of application damage over time. It remains unchanged. So I don't know what that is. I don't know the spell very well, but they're buffing Thick Skin armor bonus to 130. I think it's a talent. Calcified Skin initial damage reduction up to 12%, and Painbringer's duration. I don't know the names of these things very well, but obviously they're tank passive, like tank talent passive things. And so the interesting thing to me about this whole conversation is that for some reason, everybody said Vengeance was like really strong coming out of the beta. I brought this up a lot. I'm like, I don't see how they could be better than Blood DK, blah, 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 all these things. And the answers I'd always get was it's kind of eerily similar to what we just talked about. Well, their damage is really high. Their damage is really high. They don't really do tank very well, but they do damage like crazy. I'm like, okay, well, that's part of the tuning then, I guess. Well, so now, I mean, this is not a big buff. Let's not lie about it. But they're buffing the tanks that are weak tanky wise, and they're not doing anything about their offensive capability. So where's the buffs for Blood DK, man? Come on, you know what I mean? Like they buffed the tanks that were weak defensively, while the weak tank, the one that's the outlier right now is Blood DK's offense, right? Like their offense is very bad. I don't think it's as bad as people make it sound, but it is definitely, I would say, probably the worst. I haven't really looked at Druid's offense, but they were historically very good damage dealers. But I know for sure the other tanks are all doing far more AoE damage than Blood DK is. And, I'm not dissatisfied with that, but it is kind of strange that, these tanks seem like they were balanced against that. and now that's not happening. That's changing. So, but there's a lot of other buffs on here. Devastation Evoker's getting a lot of buffs. It looks like. I don't know a single thing about this spec, but I do think that they should definitely get buffs because it's kind of sad. They're like a terrible spec. They're like a lot of people aren't playing it. It's not popular at all. You don't see it in keys or anything. Feral's getting a 3% buff, which is surprising considering I thought that they were the better of the two specs. And look at the survival changes. These are pretty big. 2% damage for everything. And then individual spells, pretty big changes. Frost Mage, like what the? These are really large numbers, but I don't know how many people are taking these. I assume these are talents now. Don't buff fire. Why'd you buff fire? No, 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 no. But yeah, obviously Arcane's the big outlier there. And then even Mistweaver, tons of buffs to damage as well. Look at this. Damage increased, Rising Sun Kick damage, Tiger Palm damage, Spinning Print. Like, what the hell? They're buffing the damage. We got Rat Pala buffs, too. Look at the Rat Pala. Some of Retribution's main rotational buttons do not feel as good to press as we'd like, so we're making some changes to help improve these abilities. Additionally, their survival isn't where we would like, so we're making some improvements to their defensive kit as well. That is a strange thing to hear when you have an immunity, but okay. We are looking at Retribution as a whole, and we'll have more to share in the future. I think Ret's pretty good, dude. We actually play with a bunch of Ret. They're solid, dude. They're crushed at the charts. Like, they're actually good, but they're just not. They always have the same problem. You know what I mean? First of all, they're a CD reliant melee, which is never great. But two, they just don't really bring anything that Holy and Prot would bring that's better. You know what I mean? There's no reason to bring Ret over Holy Pally. But anyway, no actual Holy Pally changes. I was definitely hoping to see some. But that's pretty much it. A bunch of classes that nobody gives a shit about, like Warlock. So anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, also, really funny little thing here. Savage Peck now always always hits the target and cannot be dodged or parried. So yeah, that's definitely we noticed that today on stream. We did that key, and I was like, why am I taking so much damage on this mob? So that's probably why I was probably parrying a lot with Dancing Rune, but not anymore. So thank you for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.